Yemen.
That's weird. My connection is not secure. Oh, are we live? I think I'm supposed to be playing something. All right, there we are. Sorry about that.
You're great for video, man. We get all this dead time, guys.
That's what people like.
That's right. It is 5 o'clock. It's Monday, and it's time for a little after hours real estate. I am Chris Pesek, broker associate at Pesek Properties in the Dripping Springs home team. And that guy over there that's being rude and not waiting is Steve Babcock, mortgage loan originator at CMG Financial, mortgage loan originator extraordinaire, Esquire.
I think they should update only my title to extraordinaire.
But
everyone
at
else can
Esquire,
just be RMLO.
you need the ESQ on the back.
Okay, all right.
We need an ESQ for you. Guys, what we do on this show is we get together. It's after 5 o'clock, so we drink a little bit. We talk like Steve and I are just sitting down in a bar and talking about what's going on in the last week. And that will cover anything from real estate. Dude, you're dressed up today.
I was just wearing a T-shirt and decided to throw this on so I'd look a little bit more like a lender. And then it works. 2023.
Wow. I was going to, Steve Jobs there. Anyway, we will talk real estate. We will talk lending. We'll talk damn near anything. So if you're watching, or even if it's after the fact, questions, audience interaction, that's stuff that we like. We live on that. We live for that audience interaction. So, my man, we already see that you're drinking a Dos Equis.
Dos Equis.
That's Spanish for the Equis.
It's not 2 X's. Dos is 2. The Equis. Thanks. Okay. Never mind. Moving on. What are you drinking tonight, huh?
My friend, I've just got a little nothing important whiskey here.
That is a good looking drink.
And I'll go ahead and let people in on my secret. This is I don't like to call it a daily drinker because people then think you have an issue. But my normal drinker, this is called CB Jackson. I pick it up at Specs. It's about $25 for a handle. And it's good. It doesn't make you go, oh, or anything like that. $25 for a handle.
Usually anything under 30 does. But then again, I've had some expensive
usually
stuff
anything
that sucks too. So
well, that's fair. That is fair. Well, man, we were just getting into it. I was like telling you that everything seems just like a lull, that things are dead right now. And what did you tell me?
Rates. Every time the rate gets a little higher, things slow down.
And last couple of weeks, rates have been kind of trickling up just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. In fact, I'm looking at I was 2 seconds ago. Here we go. Oh, cute. Well, I got rid of it, I think. But I was looking at a chart, and there it is. And rates were great on April 5th. Right? You wanted to lock in that you wanted to do it on the 5th. And then the lowest they've been since then has been April 19th. Starting up here, came down here, right? They started going back up, almost got up there again, got about halfway. And now we had 2 more days of dropping. On Friday, we had a day that was pretty good. And then Monday happened today.
Yeah.
So far today, we've gone from a high. Let's see. I'm looking at the 5.5-year Fannie Mae 30-year note for anybody following. But I've gone from a high of 100.81 to a low of 100.28. Right? What in the world does that mean?
50 basis points.
That's a lot of basis points.
Yep.
What that means. 50
in a single day. Yeah, 50 basis points in a day.
Which is huge movement. But what really happened more than anything, if you really look at the numbers, is that now for the second time we've hit a ceiling in terms of the bond prices. So the prices go up and up and up and stop. Okay, come down. Up and up and stop and come down. Okay, and so if you hit that ceiling enough, we set a line there. Okay, well, this is where the resistance is. Have you ever heard somebody talking about stock market resistance, etc.? Fine. Well, we keep hitting resistance. Which typically means you burst through the resistance or you drop like a rock. And I'm afraid we're going to drop like a rock. I'm afraid that rates may be going up. And I've been saying that it looks like rates are getting better. But today we had another bank failure. And I don't know if people can really think back to 2008, or if you were really around, for that, right? But long story short is that, it started with a few bank failures and then hundreds, right? And usually you don't just have 5 banks fail in a 2-month period of time.
Yeah.
It takes more than a random Tuesday to hit, and so those conditions are out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a little bit of a text conversation with a small bank lender that I know, same one that I talked about last time, after Silicon Valley. And, he said that their biggest concerns, and these are small banks, and I'm sure this is the same kind of across the board, but their biggest concerns are panic because their bottom lines are fine. They don't have, they're not leveraged in anything that would damage them in any way. But if there's panic, if there's widespread panic, then that's the thing that would end up sinking them. And that's a crazy thing to me, that we've got an entire banking like institution that's what it feels like it's based on feelings. Isn't that nuts?
How much of life is based on feelings, though, right?
Well, fair, but I mean, look, when it comes to my bankers and my lenders and my money managers and stuff like that, show me numbers. Just show me numbers. But I guess I'm atypical. I'm a data guy.
No, you're asking for something they can't provide.
Well, no. What I mean by show me numbers is I'm not going to go into a bank and say, show me your numbers and make sure that you're stable. I'm saying go into a bank and make sure that what, if you're going to lend me a certain percent or you're going to charge me a certain percent, that number's not going to change. That's locked in. My financial advisor. Are we trending in the right direction through all ups and downs and all this other stuff? I mean, it seems like that would be common knowledge, and most people wouldn't freak out if their bank isn't the one that shit the bed. But evidently that's not the
what
case.
You're not seeing here is I don't want to be a jerk about it, but I think there's a bigger picture than what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
And I don't mean to, when it came out wrong, I didn't, I have so much respect for you that I'm starting
just
to
be a jerk. It doesn't matter.
I feel like a jerk right now. Maybe I am a jerk, but no, I'm starting to lose my train of thought on this too. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more to it than that. And the people that you're talking to don't have the ability to do much besides load your file on their computer and see what that BS says to them.
That's
right.
A fair point.
They're not walking down the road negotiating a deal with a textile plant to get a cut of the, do you know what I mean? When you invest in that's not what we're doing here. We're literally clicking some buttons and hoping some people in New York have done a good job on it. Right. And there's a reason why Bitcoin has become, and cryptocurrencies in general, not just Bitcoin, have become outrageously, popular, I'd say.
By the way, because I know that where is Bitcoin right now?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was 30,000-ish last time I checked, something like that.
Okay, so I just want to make a mental note of that. Now go on.
Oh, because it's going to go way higher, you think?
God, it was at 58 or 60,000 yet last year. Sure.
Yeah, but Bitcoin's one of those things where you're not going to walk down the street with some Bitcoin and go buy a burger and fries and get some gifts.
I know.
But it is one of those things like gold, right? You're not going to take gold down the street and buy some burgers and fries or gifts for your kids either, right? Yeah. It's a store of value, period. But when you really look at the banking system, which is really full circle here, what you're complaining about is the fractional banking. So if you give them, you've ever seen that South Park episode where the kid goes to give him the money and the banker goes, okay, thank you. He puts the $100 in his computer and he goes, and it's gone. And the kid's like, wait, what? And the banker's like, it's gone. It's gone forever. It's not coming back, right? You can't have your money back, right? It's just, but that's basically what happens. When you deposit your money in a bank, they're required to take 90% of it and buy stuff with it.
Yep.
Right? That's called fractional banking. So they only have about 10%. Some banks right now only have 7 or 8% of
cash
the
reserves,
the total amount deposited, right? Well, here's $1 billion in my whole neighborhood with everybody who lives here. Everybody lives in the state. I don't care what it is. Well, okay, we don't have $1 billion. We have 10% of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Got 100 million.
Yeah, or like 70 million.
So, but I guess that's kind of my point on that. It's okay. We know that's what the system is. We know that it's probably not ideal, but at the same time, it's something that's worked in relative consistent terms now.
Brother,
Outside of a couple of giant anomalies, it's been fairly stable. But what's caused the anomalies?
government. Government. You can have a
And so I
stable
guess that's your point.
financial you can have a financial system be stable as long as you allow people to fail. As
Yeah.
soon as you decide not to let people fail, there's ripple effects that last for
Or
years.
when you pick and choose who fails, which takes us back to today when a company
Sure.
is bought for pennies on the dollar by a larger company after the
Yeah, but
smaller
it's even
company was
worse than
allowed to
that.
fail.
It's worse than that though, because the Chase Bank today purchased New Republic, I think it's called New Republic, some
Was it
Republic.
Chase or JP Morgan?
Aren't they
Anyway,
the same
doesn't
thing?
matter.
JP
Oh, I
Morgan
don't
Chase?
know. I just saw JP Morgan all day. Maybe it is.
Yeah, JP Morgan Chase is what's called, right? I'm sorry, I think of them as Chase Bank, but
No,
they
you're
they
fine.
purchased that company. And give me a second, kiddo. Okay. And what most people aren't seeing, I think, is that they purchased it, but they didn't buy all of it. They bought all of it, right? And then said, we don't like this part of it. Government, you take that bad debt. We're going to take the good performing debt that's making the money, and we're going to give
Interesting.
all the rest of it back to the government that isn't making money. So you can take all that bad stuff, which really means two things actually, because I haven't told you the second part. The other second part is that the government has a rule that states no bank is allowed to absorb another bank that exceeds
Right.
10% of the United States deposits. All right. Well, we just did that today with Chase Bank.
And
Okay. So
they're up to 11 or 12.
well, I don't know what that number is, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, now
I
what
think
you've
that's what I
got
saw.
is you have Chase Bank that has ignored that government rule to purchase this bank in time of crisis, right? Okay, great. But you also have now, by the nature of where the government gets its money, you've got people in the government that are telling you, Chris, that you have to pay for all this bad debt,
Yeah.
right? That's a government
That's pretty
forcing
messed
its
up.
people to pay, for a company's bad moves, which is not capitalism. It's not the spirit of capitalism.
But I mean, let's be honest, the spirit of capitalism went out the window a long time ago. I mean, when we had the huge bank bailouts, we've had a couple of them now after '07, '08, and all that other stuff. Like, look, and that's what I was saying, when you have a government that picks and chooses who is allowed to, where did you go, dude? When you have a government that picks and chooses who's allowed to win, and it usually is tied to how much money those people are spending on campaign contributions. So anyway, I'm not sure where Steve went.
Had to be
There
a
he is.
dad for a second. All good. Sorry
That's
about
what I was
that.
wondering. Whit was needing a little bit of attention there.
He's a great kid.
Oh, he is. I know.
I'm so easily distracted, and he has so many questions at 6. I mean, the other day what did he ask me? He asked me if spiders like the wind, and it was like it wasn't like a deep question. It was like do you think they just enjoy the wind like we do? That kind of thing. Not like,
Right.
do you think they
Yeah.
fly on the water and over the, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just all these questions that I'm happy to answer. But I got to do this right now, right? It's very difficult for me to do that.
Well, and so, but anyway, back to the original start of all of this, the what's going on and happening today. Any other, I don't know, thoughts on? I mean, interest rates creeped up again a little bit.
So, yeah, I'm getting interesting, weird feedback from realtors.
Okay,
I've had,
I'll say this: there are realtors right now who are doing very, very well.
which is what's weirding me out. And same with lending, by the
Yep.
way. There are lenders that I've seen that are just doing phenomenally. And then other lenders that are like, well, I don't know where they're talking to, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the realtors that I've talked to are terrified, doing really poorly, having listings with no showings. And then I've got another group of realtors that, what are you talking about? Everything's roaring. And then I've got another group, like I would say, like you, who is doing business, but then
Mhm.
says, but things are slow, right?
Yeah, things
What
are slow.
What I don't have is someone that's like, what are you talking about? Right? Everyone is seeing some major changes. But I don't know, man. I don't know what that is. I'm not really sure how to. I don't know.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit of an article thought that I saw this weekend. One of the, and you've brought it up a couple of times, potential foreclosures and bankruptcies and stuff coming up. And I think your thoughts are more to do with commercial and things like that. Actually, there were two articles that I read. One of them was talking about, and this goes back to 2021 and 22. I think we first saw this, but it's over 50% of homeowners either own their house cash or have greater than 50% equity in their home right now in the
Really?
United States. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. But
And
what if you took away like the values going up over the last few years, right? Like that's
well, no, yeah, if the values didn't go up the last few years, it wouldn't be like that. But the fact of the matter is they did, and here we are. And what they were saying is that they're seeing some foreclosures, but what the owners are doing, and I want to make sure that I get this right, what the owners are doing are basically filing Chapter 13, and then allowing them to sell their house to pay off their debt. So they're not having to sell their house at foreclosure. They can still sell their house on the open market, and they're still walking away with plenty of equity because they're not having to short sell it or anything like that. So kind of a weird time right now. Hell, if your house is worth $800,000 and you have 200,000 in debt that you've got to clear up, and you can sell it for a $400,000 profit, you're not walking away into the poor bank right now.
my question is why go through the bankruptcy and not just sell the house and pay
It didn't get into that. I'm not sure. I thought that was weird too. Like, why are you filing Chapter 13?
what is the benefit? A reduced amount of debt, I guess, maybe that's paid
Maybe
down.
you can, yeah, maybe
Negotiate.
you can get rid of some of your debt that way.
Dude, if I'm a creditor and I hear that you sold your home for record profits, I'm not reducing my debt from what you owe
Yeah,
me.
but I don't know that creditors have access to that information though.
Yeah, I hope not. That would suck.
Because there is, especially in Texas, and I think it's a lot of other places right now. There's a severe disconnect. Like there's no transparency when it comes to your homestead, because the homestead is kind of held as a sacred thing. I mean, even if you get foreclosed on, they cannot take your homestead in Texas. So that may be part of that. But anyway,
yeah, but they can take it if you don't pay your taxes.
well, that's different. You owe the government money versus a bank.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's a different thing.
When you look at the whole system from the bird's eye view, right? I don't know. As long as you're going to work, everything's happy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's looking a little grim though. But to be blunt, things are looking pretty grim.
It is, but I still see the silver lining.
I hope so. Me too. That would be wonderful. Yeah, it'd be wonderful. But I don't. I've been all over the place with predictions.
So I'm gonna pack your cigar with this other article that I read this weekend.
Okay.
This is not the silver lining. It was talking about San Francisco, and I forget the exact number of vacancy in downtown commercial properties, but it was something like 60% vacant. There is currently listed 10 million square feet of people trying to sublease their properties. And this is the one that blew me away. In the last year, cell traffic in downtown San Francisco is down 70%. Have you seen these numbers? And San Francisco is not alone with the cell traffic. Downtowns are dying right now.
Not just downtowns.
Just entire cities?
Specific cities.
Large metros, San Francisco being one.
Look at Dallas, Texas is doing great.
Dallas, Texas is crushing it right. My realtor friends in Dallas are loving life right now because all the other markets are not as good as theirs.
Right.
I mean,
Um,
I had a agent.
it's shrinking cities. Keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good. I was going to say I had an agent reach out to me from Indiana. She and her husband were going to move down here. They found me on YouTube and were considering Dripping Springs. And they came down and looked around, and then they started considering Dallas. And she's like, "I'm sorry, we just get way more in Dallas." And I'm like, "You're
Yeah.
right. I've got a couple of agents up there that I've been sending people to. Do you want their information?" I can't argue with that.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
what you can get for 800 in Dripping Springs, you can probably get for 500 in Dallas.
Yeah. That's always
So,
bothered me too. Um, you go into a new build community and you have to pay what the prices are for the home. But if they would allow you to buy the lot from them and you could hire your own builder, you can get it for a third the cost. Depending on what the cost is, right? That's always bothered me too, right? The whole thing's a giant game.
well, but it's a game to make money, which is capitalism, and that's exactly what you were talking about a while ago.
Well, okay, but we were also talking about government intervention, which means it's not capitalism. Never really.
Well, yeah. I don't know that a lot of government interventions happening bailing out large home builders. Like for the most part, am I wrong? I mean, I might be wrong on that, but I
Talk about
felt like
someone
a
that is
lot
not
of
sure the bailout.
oh
Yeah.
no, not at all. But what for the most part, it feels like the home builders got way over leveraged in '07 and '08. They lost their asses and went bankrupt and ended up getting bought out. Like I don't think the government bailed those dudes out, which is good. You
No,
and I agree.
no, but they bailed out the institution that dictates how our money is spent, basically, right? Maybe not spent, but
Yeah,
invested in growth. So, at the end of the day, it did far greater damage bailing out a bank than it would
yeah.
have if it bailed out Best Buy or Circuit City or whatever that was, back in the day. Excuse me, or a builder, because those don't create market moving kind of things.
Well, but
You know,
it's like I said a while ago, we're not going to bail out people who don't spend shit tons of money on PACs and reelection campaigns.
there are two things and only two things that are bothering me right now. One is the CMBC, right, the commercial mortgage-backed
Mhm.
securities, or CMBS, and the other one is the BRICS nation. BRICS nations.
You keep talking about it. I have not researched it enough to have an educated conversation with you on it. I mean, I know, and I know that there's other people that are starting to kind of raise eyebrows there. So
I
I'm
think I'm
making
probably
notes of things that I need to research, and bricks is one.
yeah. There's a combination of a few things that have happened recently, right? With the BRICS nations, that's Brazil, India, lots of big nations, oil producing nations.
Yeah, Brazil,
That have
India, China. What's the S? Is it Syria?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
And they've all gotten together and they've decided to basically exclude the United States from trading oil. And I don't mean it excluding them as in we're not going to trade with them, but exclude them as in we're going to stick together and fight the giant beast that is America. And this mainly happened as a response to the Ukraine war when the
Yeah.
current administration cut off all of Putin's money. That was a problem.
Yeah.
On its
For
face was
more
fine.
people than Russia.
Right, because it's if they can do that to him, can they do it to me?
Right.
Right, and a lot of
And
people
people
didn't like that
reacted.
feeling.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot. Again, everything is feelings as far as I'm concerned. Emotions just runs the world, right? And
Yeah.
there were a lot of people that got emotionally uncomfortable about that. And politics be damned. We're talking other countries. We're not talking Democrat Republican here. We're talking
Right.
other countries. Like I don't know. Let's just put it someplace else. Right? Take our money, move it. And that
Venezuela is actually being a beneficiary of this.
yeah,
I saw something, a blurb.
yeah, they're producing oil like crazy. But at the end of the day, it's crushing the dollar much faster than we had anticipated. You couple
Yeah.
that with our oil reserves going away, with the inflation rate going up, and then this recession hitting, and it being a recession around banks right now, at least. It's a really bad storm, like really bad storm.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, yeah. I mean, kind of looking like a perfect storm, isn't it?
Yeah, because if the BRICS nations really pull it off, you got 80% of our value of our currency. Like out of all the, if we had $100 total in the world, only 20 of them are here in the United States, 80 of
Yep.
them are outside. Well, that means they stop using dollars. They want to immediately take their dollars and trade it for whatever the BRICS nations are trading. Let's say they make brick bucks. Okay. Well, I want to now take my dollars and I want to exchange those dollars for brick bucks so that I can then pay for stuff. Well, if enough people start doing this, then your values stop losing, or your values, your dollars start losing value, right? It's inflated. The numbers keep getting inflated, and pretty soon your $100 exchange rate is going to take 1,000, and then 10,000,
Yep.
and then 100,000, and then 1,000,000. And you got Weimar Germany again with hyperinflation.
Yep.
There's no
But
question.
it's happening globally with the global currency
right
that currently exists. Yeah.
There's no such thing as a country on the planet that could take 80% of their currency rushing in at one time and not. I mean, no one would survive that.
No.
I don't care who you are, including us, especially us. And so, that's the fear, at least for me, is that the BRICS nations succeed and replace the dollar amongst everything else. But right now would be a great time to buy the house because you can lock in at a 5%, maybe 6% rate. And then the world will fall apart around you, and you've got a nice asset that you live in. And I'm trying to be positive and come full circle with this one.
Well, and it's like, this is the thing, and I've talked to a former student of mine that is in natural gas, I guess futures, and he trades it as a commodity, and that's one of his kind of big deals right now is assets. What assets do you have? If you've got a bunch of money sitting in the bank or sitting in cash, it's not
That's a
an
problem.
asset.
It's a big problem right now.
It's a huge problem.
Not only are you're losing 5% every year right now, anyways, due to inflation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right now, you are losing 5% by keeping your cash in the bank. Right. But what happens when that accelerates? Right.
5%.
Right. What happens when your money's not worth anything? Right. And that's, again, the Bitcoin, gold, all that stuff is just to preserve wealth, to buy the new currency with it. Right. To exchange it for the new currency, and then you use that. Because again, nobody's taking gold coins.
Nope, nobody. Gold is going up. Silver's going up. Silver's at the highest that it's been, and
I will predict that those are going to go up like crazy in the next year or so.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what good is it going to do you?
If you're able to sell it to somebody, it might do well. If you're a gold vendor, that could be really beneficial.
You just used two very strong clauses there. You said if both times.
Sorry about that.
No, you said if both times. If you're able to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about a world where your currency doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen quickly. So it would be let's say Weimar Germany, for instance. You had 5 or 6 years of tumultuous numbers, but at the end of that 5th year, your inflation looked kind of like what it did in the first year. At least it was very similar. And then you start that 6th year, and your first couple months, inflation's on par, which just doing what we've been doing for 5 or 6 years. And then the next month it triples, and the next month it triples again from that last one. And then all of a sudden it's already too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
$1,000 for a gallon of milk kind of thing. And no one can ignore it. And furthermore, now your money's worthless. What do you do with it?
I mean, the crazy thing is I would let's be conservative and say 40% of our population would be ready to give you a tinfoil hat right now for saying that.
You think so?
Yes. 100%. I was going to say higher. I was going to say closer to 60%.
Well, I would tell those people that I'm a numbers-driven person, and I'm literally just looking at data when I repeat this stuff out.
But think about it, man. Anybody that does stuff like have their own chickens at the house, stuff like that, they're looked at as weirdo preppers.
And they are all kind of weirdo preppers until something goes wrong.
Until shit hits the fan.
But then they're looked at like geniuses that had the foresight that you didn't.
Right.
And there's plenty of examples of this throughout history where people are weird for preparing, and then they're not all of a sudden, and then everyone else is like, "Thank God you prepared, Frank." You know,
Yeah. Hey,
glad you got
buddy.
that can of spam for the family. You know,
And that's what I was going to say. So that kind of gets you to the point where, okay, looking forward, let's say all hell does break loose. I
right?
mean,
Yeah, sure.
what are the assets that are valuable?
Well, look, first of all, we don't have to go nuts and get hazmat suits and live underground,
No,
right?
no,
When it
no, no,
comes
no,
to
no.
preparing, there's smart preparing and then there's psychotic preparing, right? And by
Right.
the way, again, when things go wrong, you want your neighbor to be the
You to be
psychotic
the
preparer.
psychotic one. That's right.
Okay. But the details. Okay. So like, some people will put like water storage tanks or they'll go out and buy, just get a damn water filter.
Yeah.
How's that sound? Right? How about you just get a water filter like a little Brita and you get a bunch of okay, great. Now you've just solved your water problem. Do you know what I mean though? Like it doesn't have to be that
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
And if the world really is going that south, you're dead anyways, right? Good luck. That's why the hazmat suit's so stupid, right?
Yeah.
Let's just imagine a scenario where you put on the suit, you get your whole family in the suit, right? And now the nuke has gone off, and somehow you survive the nuke, and now you're all alive, and you come out of the basement after 3 months, right, or whatever it is, and everyone else is dead. Okay, so now you're living with nothing, surrounded by. I just kill me in the blast, right? Don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because at that point, I mean, yeah, we don't even have to get into that. But radiation and fallout, you won't be able to garden, you won't be able to grow anything,
I
whatever.
mean, my kid complains if I don't get him candy over like a 3-day period of time.
You
Right
can
now,
stock up, dude.
and can't get anything. Right,
You
it's
can
all
stock
contaminated.
up on Twinkies.
You got to have a lifetime supply of Skittles in the basement. That's what you need.
Well, I got candy today.
You got candy today? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, we went camping. We came back from a camping trip today.
That's awesome, man. God, we're going down a tangent here, but
Oh,
anyway,
no, right?
yeah, it really is. It's kind of funny. I've got
You're not.
I've got a cousin that's like, yeah, you can invest in gold and silver. I'm going to invest in chickens. I can call whatever price I want.
Right. Yeah, and that's
There's your inflation.
Kind of stupid. It's kind of dumb, honestly. It really is. Unless you're expecting a crash and then expecting to renew your wealth in the new currency, right?
That's
So
the key.
there's a reason why it's recommended you have 10% of your wealth in gold or precious metals. Right?
Well, people recommend.
Right. Oh, but there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And the logic. Give me a second, Ko. Yes. See, now we're having a conversation, and then he'll do that. You seen the movie with Adam Sandler where the kids like today, Julia. Today, Julia. I'm telling you right now, that becomes such a real scene when you have a 6-year-old. Yeah, I can't remember what I was saying. It's gone now.
I don't know. You made me laugh, and now Steve is doing some tough love parenting. Well, man, we've been on for 32 minutes. Let's wrap it up. So today we talked a lot about nothing. I mean, realistically, because you said it last week, things are boring right now. Things are boring. Like,
I mean, with the banks closing, it's exciting in one spot, but lending is kind of boring. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and anyway, I don't know. I feel bad for people losing their jobs because people are going to lose their jobs. But it's a time for growth, right?
Brother, you and I, for those actually watching, you and I have been doing Chat GPT and Auto GPT, and you got Auto GPT working. Oh my God. And I showed Chat GPT and then gave some pointers to some people I'm coaching right now. And they literally replied with, because we're on a 3-way call. One of them said to the other person, said, "Oh, we don't have to pay Becky anymore." And then the other one replied, "Heck, Becky, we don't have to pay any of them." And they were talking about 3 people that they had been hiring to do work for them, that with Chat GPT now, that's just not necessary anymore. They can do it in seconds.
So you're coaching people and ending people's careers?
It wasn't my intention. And after saying it out loud, like, look at how great this is. And it was like, oh, what did I just do? Right. I guess I've helped them. And, and yeah, it was going to happen anyway. So I'm not exactly feeling guilty about it. But at the same time, it was like, wow, I guess, maybe the person could have had a job for a few more months.
Yeah. Do we need to do an entire show next week on what you and I are learning, not only about Chat GPT, but Agent GPT and Auto GPT?
Well, I mean, agent. Oh, yeah, agent. Yeah, you know what? It's scary cool, and we could probably market that show quite a bit, right? I mean, Chris asked it for some help, and it transformed itself into a lead generation system and called itself something different after he asked it. I mean, it was pretty intense.
It was. My biggest thing is that my brain power is so limited in what it can do and how to translate what it's doing.
It's most people's problems.
Man, it is so damn powerful. God.
Yeah. I would suggest anyone using it, try and get it to do something you don't think it can do, and start with that idea in mind, because you will probably not succeed.
Yeah.
Unless you want a back massage or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, actually,
it's not gonna.
You
probably order one for you.
Build you a back massager, ship it to the house.
Yeah, it probably would ship it to the house for you. Very extremely powerful, and like you and I've been saying, it's already changing the world. It's already fundamentally changing things,
and it's going to put me out of business too. It's only a matter of time until someone can type in, "This is me. This is what I make. What kind of mortgage can I get?" And the system would just look straight at the guidelines and say, "Well, I know these 1,200 pages left and right, and can update them instantly. And here's what your options are."
So what you should do is you should get busy writing that and producing that and starting a business based on that.
I mean, you're right.
I'll come in and be your advertising arm. Let's go.
So what is the saying? If you can't, not if you can't beat them, join them. But if you can't be the first to market, then I can't remember the line, but you're either first to market.
Or you're first to fail. I don't know.
It's too late now. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'm getting called repeatedly.
Appreciate you.
By this child on
guys.
The couch.
We do this every week. And sometimes we're coherent in our thoughts, and sometimes we're just all over the place. So same bat time, same bat channel, next Monday, 5 o'clock, After Hours Real Estate. If you've got questions or thoughts after the fact, throw them up. We'll answer your questions. That's what we do. Steven, appreciate you, buddy.
You too, brother. I got a singer back here, so I'm muting myself. Sorry.
Get after it. Encourage it.
I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Later.